Well, hello, everybody. Today we're having our webinar on the compensation package. This is a topic that, that a lot of people ask us about, and that's why Maria Kennemer is here with us. She is the head of recruitment, and she knows about the compensation package. And we would really love you, Maria, to tell us a little bit about yourself and a little bit about what we're going to be talking today.
Hi, well, I'm Maria. I'm actually the manager for the recruitment department. So at one point, you're going to talk to me. Um, the one that you guys talk to at the end before I release your profile, and I just do an overview with you guys, make sure that you understand everything that is going to happen, and most importantly, the compensation. Any questions that you may have in regards to your compensation, when does payment start? Base amount. I know that it's a lot of information that we feed you. So that's one of my jobs, to make sure that you understand everything before you go through the process. So much, yep, that's it.
And so, yeah, so Maria.
I lost you for a little bit. What was that?
No, that's fine. And we're going live on the watch party, so I got confused. But so when someone sees a compensation package, what are the basic parts of that compensation package that you should be aware about?
Well, the basic part of the compensation is your base compensation. We are a little different compared to other agencies in the sense that we break everything down. We don't provide a flat rate. I have seen some that come through with a flat rate, and you have to really look at all of the fine print in there. Whereas us, we have your base compensation, plus in addition, we have allowances throughout the pregnancy. So when we say base compensation, we say 40,000. You also have to, that's for a first time. I'm just using that as a base, the $40,000 for a first time surrogate. You also have to look in taking consideration that that's just base. That's not including all of the allowable allowances throughout the whole pregnancy, which could definitely put you at, once everything is said and done, you're looking at 52,000 and above, depending on certain stuff that happens throughout your pregnancy. So for example,
if I understand you correctly, if I want to do this, I want to help another family, I love being pregnant. So I really want to go through a surrogacy and be able to help another family. So what I understand is that I will be offered, if I look around and see different compensation packages, I should be aware of what a base compensation, meaning that amount is something I'm going to get. That's basically what I'm definitely going to get throughout the journey, or whatever goes, says, okay, your base compensation is 40, as you mentioned. So I know that if everything goes well throughout the journey, the minimum I'm going to get is 40.
Right, 40. Now that's providing if you go through pregnancy and delivery, that's 40,000. And you start getting paid that base compensation once there is a confirmation of pregnancy, meaning that, the doctor does an ultrasound, there's a heartbeat on ultrasound, then you start getting paid $4,000 a month for 10 months. In addition to that $40,000, and that's the base. That's why we call it a base compensation.
So if I'll start getting paid my base compensation the moment where IVF tells me, there is a confirmation heartbeat, you are pregnant, so you are going forward with this, with the pregnancy. But the time before that, so while I apply, while my profile is being created, while it's released, and then I'm matched, and then I go through the embryo transfer, during this part of the process, which could be, a couple of months or weeks, I won't be receiving the base compensation. Could I be receiving something else monetarily wise?
Yes, yes, you will. What you do get, well, once your profile has been released and the case managers have matched you with intended parents, of course, you're going to go through the legal process. Once you sign your GSA, which is the gestational surrogate agreement, then you will start getting paid $300 a month. While you go to the fertility doctor, while you get pregnant, it's going to be $300 a month. Now, providing that you do have a confirmed pregnancy, then that $300 a month stops at the second trimester, where now you will start getting paid $1,000 a month. So
So,
now you're
and
looking at the $4,000 a month plus that additional 1,000. And that's also not including the embryo transfer. When you do the embryo transfer, you do get an allowance of $1,000, and that is separate from that $300 that you will be receiving during that time period.
this is what I'm hearing is that when a surrogacy agency or advertises and saying how much a surrogate can make, the first thing I should pay attention to is when they give me a value, no matter the amount, is to understand how that is broken down. Because if they were to say, let's say, we're going to pay you a certain amount, how do I know if that's something that I'm definitely going to receive, or if something were to happen, then you could, that, and all these different add-ons that you're talking about, such as the embryo transfer. I understand that for multiples, there could be an additional income for that, but I'd have to find out if that were included in the whole price they give me at first time, like the first number they go with.
Right. And that's why it's important to look at their fine print and see if everything is spelled out. Because again, you can go by flat rate compensation, which it doesn't matter how many doctor's appointments you have, how many embryo transfers, whether or not you're going to need a procedure. Let's say, you're going to need, I don't know what procedure to throw into that's not going to sound like, but let's
But if
just
you had
say,
something extra,
yeah, if you add something extra, that it's not all bundled in. Whereas with our compensation, we have everything broken down in the compensation package that spells out what you will be getting paid, at what point you'll be getting paid, and how the payments are broken down. And that's how we come up with our number that we say up to, 50, like on the base compensation, we have estimated amount of 52 plus, because again, it just depends on, how many doctor's appointments you're going to go to, embryo transfer. You're going to have one embryo transfer, two embryo transfers, multiple pregnancies. If you end up with twins, it's an addition to, if you end up having any procedures done, then that adds to it. So that 52,000, that's just a low estimate, because of course you could end up with a little bit more.
So that's very important for people to understand. And the reason why we're doing this is that we understand that sometimes people ask about the packages, and then they see numbers thrown around the internet or thrown around, and they think that it's too low, or it's too high, or it's too this, or it's too that. And that's the invitation that we have for you today, to know what to look for. So Maria, you were talking about the base compensation, and then you were talking about allowances. What other things should we look for if we're going to go through a fine print, as you say? What things should we look for that should be included, and things that we include as Omega that maybe other agencies don't, or things that we should pay attention to? Because when we're on the journey, then we come to a situation where, hey, I thought this was included and it's not.
One of the things that I have seen, I've seen recently is that the insurance will come out of the base compensation, or not, I'm sorry, not the base compensation, but the flat rate. So what you want to look in there is that your insurance, during that pregnancy, during your surrogate journey, I should say, is that it's not going to be taken out or deducted out of your compensation at all. We at Omega, we have it separate. So any insurance that is paid separately by the intended parents. Another thing, lost wages. We do have it, and it varies. We have it in the compensation package. We have it varies because of course it goes by your income, where you may want to take a look at that also. Is the agency going to cover, well, and part of your compensation package, is it going to cover your lost wages in addition to your compensation, or is it all included in there? So let's say the other agency is going to say, we'll pay you 45, but are they going to also provide for any lost income that you're going to have throughout the pregnancy due to any bed rest, or
And this is very important, especially for first-time surrogates, because you really don't understand, and it's not because you cannot understand, but how are you going to know what questions to ask if you've never really gone through something like this, if you've never seen something like this? And this is the purpose of this communication from Omega to surrogates, because what we want you to understand is what you're actually going to face and what other questions other surrogates have had. And Maria's an expert at this because everyone's asking her the questions all the time. So, or to avoid misunderstandings. I mean, if something is very important to you, make sure that you talk about it, especially like Maria said right now. I mean, the lost wages. What is going to be covered, even if during your previous pregnancies, you never had to go to bed rest because you were fine. As well as the next mom, that every pregnancy is different. So what happens if, you have to go to bed rest for the last week or something like that? Well, then you're not going to be able to go to work, right? So these things have to be thought about, because as a mother who went through no issues through her pregnancy, you're not going to think about it. But that's what we do. We do think about these things, and we have them, set on the table just in case. Hopefully it's not needed, but if it is, it's already contemplated for. So what other thing would you say, Maria, besides the lost wages, is something that is included within our compensation packages that may not be in the base compensation, but that they do represent an add-on if it were to happen?
Another thing is the embryo transfer allowance. Ours is per embryo transfer. So if you have one failed embryo transfer, and if you go do it again, then you'll get compensated for the other for the other embryo transfer. So, those are just things that you need to look at the compensation, is how much are you going to, for example, I'm going to throw in the monthly non-accountable allowance. We have that in there to help you, cover any expenses that you're going to have to go to a doctor's appointment. So that's why you get the $300 a month. So that's going to help you pay for childcare if needed, cover, your hours of work should you have to take time off from work, gas, tolls, any parking fees, anything related, to help you fulfill the needs as a surrogate mom. So, and then as far as, when I said that $300, once you are pregnant, there's a confirmed pregnancy at the second trimester, changes to $1,000. Well, of course, that's to help you cover any childcare, maternity clothing, because even if we have to buy stretchy pants, that's an additional allowance. So that's all there to help you cover all of that. Anything that that you need in order
So
to.
these are the, if I understand correctly, these 300 and this $1,000 that I would receive if I were in that situation during these whatever amount of months, then that is extra to that 40,000 base compensation that I'm already receiving once I have the confirmed pregnancy.
Right.
So instead of receiving 4,000, I could be receiving 4,300, or then, a little bit further along, 5,000. So these are things that aren't usually said when surrogacy agencies are saying how much you could make. And you have to understand up to, but what does it take to get up to that? And what are you willing to do, or what needs to happen? So that is very important for you to know, and that is why we want to be clear that the way that Omega offers this is a base compensation, that's what you're going to receive provided the pregnancy moves forward and is completed, and then you're going to have these extras that are going to be for you.
Right. So how I explain it is, when I have a surrogate that, because there are questions, because, first of all, it's a lot of information that we give. And plus, of course, payment, you're always going to want to know exactly when payment starts, how much. And I do tell them that once there is a pregnancy that is confirmed and they start making that $40,000, the $4,000 a month, plus in addition, the $1,000 a month for the non-accountable allowance. So right there, you're looking at $5,000. Plus, depending on how many doctor's office visits you go to for that month. So you add all of those. So you're looking at definitely over, I would say over $5,200, or, anything over $5,000 a month is what you will be seeing, throughout your journey.
And through our conversations with Omega Surrogate Stories, which is our Facebook group, there have been a lot of questions regarding second-time surrogates. Omega has been known to have a high rate of comeback surrogates because they feel comfortable and they feel happy with us, so they come back. Now, what does that mean in terms of compensation? How does that change in any way, or how does that work?
It does. It definitely changes. So the base compensation does change for second and third time surrogates. So it does increase by $10,000 each journey. But in regards to the allowables, the allowable allowances throughout, all the extras that we should call them, those pretty much, they remain the same. Unless they have an agreement with their intended parents. But yeah, pretty much base compensation does increase.
And so that would be the main difference. So instead of receiving the $4,000 a month, you would be receiving,
let's say,
a higher amount.
Yeah,
right. You would be receiving. Amount.
Yeah, and same thing. They also, with the experienced surrogates, we call them experienced surrogates when they come back. In addition, to that the $10,000 increase for each journey, they also have to look at the fact, or this is even coming from, you don't have to be a surrogate returning from Omega. This can be any surrogate coming from any other agency that wants to work with us now. You are looking at the higher base compensation. And of course, at the end, you have to look at the overall of what you're going to be making with all the additional allowances, not just that base compensation.
And that's really important to see, because when they offer, oh, you're going to make 75,000, or you're going to make 80,000, or you're going to make this and that, if you are pulling out the insurance from there, if you end up having multiples, it makes no difference if you have multiples or if you don't. All of these things become null and void, whereas with Omega, it does provide you with an extra income besides the base compensation that you already know that you're going to get. So
right, yeah,
so everything. That's a good.
Yeah, and that's why sometimes, people, if they're just thinking about it, or, they're just wondering how this all works. Of course, if you're going to hear, oh, well, they're only going to pay me 40, but so and so is going to pay me 55. Of course, human nature, we're going to go where you're going to make more money. But that's why I have my team send the compensation package, to our leads that are interested, our surrogates that are interested, send them the compensation so they can read through it and see how everything is going to break down and the separate allowances. And again, we're always here. We're always available for them to ask any questions. A text message or a phone call away.
And also, if you want to see a better detail of how our compensation package is divided, we do, if you go to our website, which is www.ofgsurrogacy.com, you can look into the blog section. You will find there are about 2 or 3 different blogs regarding compensation. So you can have a look at that, and you can always reach out to either Maria, to Maria Tenemer, or to Maria me. I mean, we're here to help you with that and understand that. But what we want you to be clear is that when you look at a compensation package, you have to understand what that base compensation entails, what that flat fee is, what does that mean for you, and what is going to be deducted from that flat fee? Because as Maria said, what if they do take your insurance out of there? I mean, how much will that insurance be? So at the end of the day, are you really making that 75,000?
Yeah,
You're
you want to
using it
look at all the fine prints and see what you want to compare. If you, I mean, this is a big part. This is a big thing to do. I mean, it's your body and you're going to have a baby. So yeah, if you are shopping around and you want to compare and ask questions, definitely ask questions. And again, that's why we don't say flat rate, because again, we can say up to 52 plus, because again, 52 is just on the low side. You can make a lot more depending on how many doctor's appointments you have. Pretty much that's a big one, is how many doctor's appointments you go to, embryo transfers. Are you going to end up with 1 or 2? Hopefully 1. Are you going to have twins? Are you going to be a single? Are you going to breastfeed afterwards? All the little things, which definitely they add up.
And if someone were to ask you, okay, Maria, this is my first time being a surrogate and I want to compare compensation packages, what are the top 3 things that I should look for, or the top 3 questions I should ask based on your experience?
I would say definitely you have to look at what's included. Is lost wages, is that something that they're going to take in consideration? And definitely support. Of course, as the first time, you're not going to know, are they going to be there for me? Am I going to talk to, is it just going to be emails? Is it just going to be text? Am I going to speak to a robot, or am I actually going to get a live person? I mean, that all makes a big difference. Well, to me personally. So yeah, you have to see all of that. And then how are you going to know that we do that? Well, there is a telephone number. You can always definitely call us and then check with the other people. Are they calling you? Are they I don't know, giving them love? Because that's what we do. And then another thing too that I do is we always offer our interested surrogates, the link to our chat groups like this, or our Facebook, so they could actually relate and they can see what other surrogates are going through, what they have to say and stuff like that. So definitely support, because once again, in talking to surrogates that come from other agencies, they say that, I want to try Omega because there's actually a person. And trust me, we will be calling you a lot. So support, I would say definitely. Yeah, it's nice to make X amount of money, but if you feel lost through the whole journey, it's not going to be a wonderful experience. So, and that's something that we definitely strive for here.
Yes, and that's and I'm glad you brought up the topic of community, because of course most of us are mothers. We've gone through a pregnancy. We know what it's like. We know how it affects our body. We know how it affects our family. We know all these things. I mean, hey, we've been through it, right? But a surrogacy can be different on many counts, especially after you've given birth. Things are very, very different from your normal pregnancy.
Yeah.
And even if people can rationally put their mind around it, I mean, because you can understand, I mean, you understand it, but you don't really get it. And so the importance of having that community around you, someone that you can write and say, hey, you know, I'm going through this, and what do I do? You can do it online. You can do it via Messenger. You can do it via phone. You can do it via whatever via you want. But the important thing is that you tell us what it is you want, because there are many people, me included, that after a certain time, I just want to be left alone. You know, I don't want to be contacted. I don't want to be talked to. I can deal with my stuff on my own. And when I'm ready to get out of my cage or my shell, I'll get out and I'll talk to the world. But there are other people who need that contact, and hey, we need to get together. We need to talk. We need to do this. And we are there for all of you, but we need to understand what it is you need, what it is you want, because it's not only, you know, the support with, you know, you've got an appointment and remember that you have an appointment and you have to do this. I mean, we've done that as mothers ourselves, but understanding the surrogacy journey by people who are already have gone through it is invaluable. And that's why many people come back to us, and we're proud to say that we do have a high return of surrogates that come with us. So if surrogates are returning to us, start your journey with us to start with.
Yes, and we're glad to have them back.
So if you have any questions, you can always write to the Facebook page, or you can write me to my email, which is maria@ofgsurrogacy.com. And Maria, what's yours?
Mine is, my email is mk@ofgsurrogacy.com. And then also our line is 619-786-6050. I have to think about that one, but it's also, you know, it's also on our Facebook, right? It's
right.
Yeah. So anytime.
It's on our Facebook, it's on Instagram, it's on our website, and it's on stories. It's on we affectionately call it stories, but the Facebook group is Omega Surrogate Stories. Yeah. So so there are 1,000,001 ways to get in touch with us. Choose what works best for you, and we shall accommodate. So returning and just giving the final, I guess, bullet points of the compensation package is: one, you do have to understand what your base compensation is. That's the part that you will pay most attention to at first, and then start seeing what it is that are additional. And if they don't give you a base compensation and they just give you a flat fee, then make sure that you can see what other agencies offer as base and extra, and make sure that that base and extra is included in that flat fee that they give you, and make sure that they're not taking money out, like, you know, the insurance, taking that out. Or if that's okay with you, well, then that's fine. But what else are they taking out that's related to your journey that you will not receive at the end of the day? So that way your expectations are met, you understand how much you're going to get, and you're able to feel comfortable, because at the end of the day, that's what we want. We want you to feel comfortable and understand. And we understand that you never know what to ask, especially if it's your first time. How are you supposed to understand if you've never gone through the experience?
Yeah, definitely ask questions. I mean, don't you know, especially when I'm the last one that calls you before what we call release your profile. I want you to understand your compensation package. And of course, you know, like I said, it's a lot of information. And let's say if it's even a Saturday and you're like, I forgot, feel free, send me a text message, because at that point you will have my contact info. So
And yes, so I think that we've already covered what questions you should ask. If you have any other questions, please feel free to reach out to us. And we thank you so much for attending and watching. And you can always rewatch this webinar on our Omega Surrogate Stories page or on our Omega Family Global Facebook page. They will be there for you to watch. And if you have any questions, please feel free to contact us.
bye. Thank you.
Bye.